family, for your future. InvestView. Invest in you.
Hey, welcome back. It's a Freaky Friday indeed. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. Thank you for joining us for hour two. And it's going to get way better for you because it's always better for me when I'm joined in the studio by my great friend Rob Taub is here. And Rob is a frequent contributor. He sometimes writes a article for Newsmax called Centrist Sentiments. He's a thoughtful, level-headed Democrat and also an ambassador for American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association.
I'm a sane Democrat.
Their joint venture, No Diabetes by Heart. And also Raynard Jackson joins us today for the first time. He's a Pulitzer Prize nominated journalist. He's also the CEO of Raynard Jackson, Associate Chairman of Black Americans for a Better Future. Guys, thank you both for joining us on this
Good to be here.
Friday edition. I want to take a look at some of the stuff about impeachment, about the 2020 elections. But let's take a look at what Trump had to say about the Soleimani killing.
Radical left Democrats have expressed outrage over the termination of this horrible terrorist. And you know, instead, they should be outraged by Soleimani's savage crimes and the fact that his countless victims were denied justice for so long. You know, he was the king of the roadside bomb. You know what the roadside bomb? And then they got bigger, and he'd send them over to Afghanistan and Iraq. And when you see our friends and our great wounded warriors and our great warriors, when you see them without their legs or without an arm and with so much damage, it's most likely that he caused that damage.
Rob, I know everybody's haggling over this word, imminent. What are your thoughts on this? I know you're not a warmonger, but do we take out a bad guy here?
I think that Donald Trump was just using this to help himself and distance himself from the impeachment. And I don't think it was necessary. I think it's a level of grandstanding, and more than 57% of the United States population agrees with me.
So, Raynard, what do you think? I think we got rid of a bad guy, and that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, I agree, but I think people are missing the point in this whole argument. The argument is, does the president have the constitutional authority to do what he did? And the answer is yes. And the issue is, if he thought our national sovereignty was in jeopardy, he has the absolute authority to act without talking to anyone and then explain after the fact. And he did that.
I agree with you there, yes.
We ring the bell when all guests agree. But we have to go...
Given Donald Trump's
right.
propensity for not telling the truth, we have a lot to discuss then.
Raynard, I've been saying that, Republicans say we got a bad guy off the earth, period. Democrats say we got a bad guy off the earth, comma, but did he have, right, was it imminent, all this other... Why can't they ever just give him one and say, all right, we got a bad guy out of there?
Well, number one, anything that gives the president credit for anything the Democrats see as a negative. At some point, we have to put the interests of the country first. And I think you even agree with that. You're a good Democrat.
What a salesman this guy is.
I think, though, that Donald Trump has never acknowledged that we are a country of laws, that we have a constitution, we have a Bill of Rights. He is not king. He's comfortable with third world despots and Putin and Kim Jong-un because that is the type of leader that Trump aspires to be. He does not champion democracy, and he never will. And therein lies the problem.
So you think, and you posited to begin this segment here, that this was all a distraction for the whole impeachment thing. Maybe we needed something to do while we were waiting for the Democrats to impeach him, right? Nancy Pelosi hasn't turned over the articles. Breaking news. She came out today and said that she's going to turn them over sometime next week.
But she said this was important and urgent back in November. So we're talking about imminent with Trump, but she said it was urgent. If it was urgent to have the impeachment hearing, why is it that she sat on them for a month? How urgent could it be?
Yeah. Because Trump didn't want to let people like John Bolton testify. Now
but she should have went through the court system, though, and got the witnesses that they wanted. The role of the Senate in impeachment is not to hear witnesses, but to try the facts of the case.
But Mitch McConnell has already said, I've made my decision. So how is that a trial?
Oh, you think Adam Schiff hadn't made his decision?
By the way, Mitch McConnell said, I've made my decision. along with a majority of Americans, enough is enough with impeachment. So maybe once in a while it's good if our elected officials do what the people want and stop bothering the president. 50 some odd percent, and these are the people that are willing to admit it. There's still that silent majority out there, people who work for liberals who say they can't say it, but 53, 54% say they do not want to see the president removed from office. That's out there, all over the place. Would you agree with me on that, or no? Or you think that?
No, I think the majority of Americans would probably like to see him impeached. Look,
he's almost impeached. I'm saying you think they'd more than 50% of America wants him to be impeached for this issue. You think?
Can you name me the impeachable offense?
No.
I rest my case.
Wait a minute. Can I name it? What took place with the Ukraine, the extortion, holding back money that was earmarked by Congress? He's not the king. As I said, we have a constitution.
But if your key witness, the president of Ukraine, said there was no pressure, there was no quid pro quo, in court, that case would have been thrown out at that point.
Well, when John Bolton describes it as a drug deal, I find that rather alarming. And when I have Rudy Giuliani acting as if he is a cabinet member and he's a nobody, it's just
Rudy Giuliani
flagrancy run amok.
I mean, he is the
flagrantly flouting the rules.
President's is the vice president who runs our Ukraine policy. His son getting a multi-million-dollar job with no experience, is that flagrantly?
That's over and done with. And Hillary Clinton was
everything's
exonerated.
over and over. Well, Hillary was never exonerated. All right,
She was.
I'm supposed to shut up and talk. I'm supposed to shut up and throw out the topics and let them talk.
Okay.
So let's go to 2020. I want to hear you guys' views on this. Here was Donald Trump on the stump, talking about Pelosi and Bernie and others.
Crazy Bernie has condemned the U.S. military strike on Soleimani, the world's top terrorist. Think of it, the world's top terrorist. And we're having people like Nancy Pelosi. It's a real genius. Do you believe that one? Nancy, nervous Nancy. But here's a guy who slaughtered and butchered civilians all over, and military, whoever was in his way. And we have Bernie and Nancy Pelosi, we have them all. They're all trying to say, how dare you take him out that way? You should get permission from Congress. You should come in and tell us what you want to do.
Bernie, it seems, is the number one contender right there. I mean, Biden and Bernie, but I mean, Bernie has much more emotional support from the party.
I disagree.
You don't?
No, I think Trump would love to see Bernie as a front runner because he knows he could take Bernie apart because Bernie's an avowed socialist. He's the worst possible candidate we could have. You know, maybe Elizabeth Warren could be even worse. We don't need him. We don't want him. He's not electable, and Trump knows that. So that's what he's putting out there. And enough.
Rob, there was a YouGov poll last week that said, for people who were going for Bernie, 66% of them were enthusiastic about their choice. The Democrats who were voting for Biden, 49% of them were enthusiastic about it. Raynard, do they have an enthusiasm problem over there with these candidates?
Well,
Trump has like 90 on our side.
Bernie had the excitement of the Democratic base, and what's the biggest liability for Biden is the real Joe Biden, I think, could be a formidable candidate, but they have drugged him so far to the left, I don't even recognize who Biden is.
You and I are agreeing again. I agree with that. But look, Bernie, there's too much Michigas going on there and craziness.
Yes.
He won't turn over his medical records. He had a heart attack. He's an avowed socialist. Everything is free. I'll give it to you for free. I hate rich people, but rich people have to pay for everything. Think about, well, of course Trump loves him. Trump will go in and mop the floor with Bernie Sanders. As bad as Trump is, people who are going to hate Bernie, they're not going to vote for him. He's a Russian asset too.
Isn't Nancy Pelosi also hurting her own cause in the presidential side? They want to have this Senate trial now. If Mitch McConnell really wanted to be a bad guy, he could just drag out the trial for a few months with motion, and then
Maybe he'll do that.
Many of their leading presidential candidates sitting there in the Senate, because if they're so interested in impeachment, they can't be taken off to go to the campaign trail, right?
Yeah, but I don't think Mitch would be doing them a favor by extending the trial. These senators have no chance of being the nominee whatsoever, in my view, and they have no message that resonates with America. It is amazing on the Democratic side. It's a race to see how you can punish American citizens and reward those who are not citizens. That's crazy. Totally insanity. You agree with me?
No.
Are you with me? Hey, in this last minute, I
Yes.
breezed past it before. Frankie and I talked about this a little earlier. Trump said now, okay, we're not looking for any more war. The Iranians came out and said the same thing. Now today, Mnuchin is saying they're going to ratchet up the sanctions. Short answer is both, but can sanctions be the start of a diplomatic solution, maybe?
Well, they've got to take a strong negotiating position. But then, crazily, Trump also said he's expecting NATO to participate heavily after he spent the last 3 years condemning them. He has no plan. He has nothing.
But those sanctions have hurt the Iranian economy, and I think that's the biggest weapon we have short of military intervention.
But it's almost like it's not hurting the mullahs and the ayatollahs, it's really squeezing down to the people. So maybe we need those people to uprise a little bit too. Do not rise up from your seat. Stay right there. Okay, I need you to stay tuned for the rest of hour 2, but I want to thank Raynard Jackson and Rob Taub for joining us to mix it up today, guys. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Good to be here.
Thank you for being there. Pop open a call. One quick break. We'll be back right after this.